Welcome to We Like D&D, the show where we talk about our favorite hobby, D&D and TTRPGs in variety show style segments like Show and Tell, a pop culture character build with The Witcher, Would You Rather, and a little game we made up called 2DM's One Player. I'm Kelly from the YouTube channel Power Word Spill, and I'm joined by one of my best friends and D-Inspirations, Alec.
Hey, I'm so happy to be back with y'all.
I'm happy you're here. Would you like to roll for introduction?
Ooh, yes. Wish I could roll for introduction in real life. It's an 8. It's slightly below average. I speak clearly, and it's not too long of an introduction, but I am a little quiet. I am a little shy.
I did understand your name and remember it, but I also am going to go elsewhere.
Don't be ridiculous. You don't remember my name. You had to look at your notes when you were introing me just now.
I'm sorry. Your name is Alex, I want to say.
Kill me.
We're also joined by fellow player and my long-term roommate / wife, Loren.
Hello.
Loren, would you like to roll for introduction?
It would be my pleasure. Oh, that looks bad.
It's a 3.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I slip and fall. And then I have to get up and everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? And then they don't remember my name. They just remember me as a girl that slipped and fell.
Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing.
I know.
Ooh, really took the pressure off me, though. So
Yeah.
That's true. They were like, oh, hey, Alec, did you see that?
Yeah.
You're going to have to move out. I'm sorry. I can't be seen with you anymore. We can still be married, but we're going to have to live separately.
Oh, okay. That actually works well for me.
Up first, we've got a segment called Show and Tell, where we each bring something from the TTRPG hobby that caught our eye and share it with each other. Who would like to go first?
I usually never go first for this, so I guess I will.
Absolutely. Pitch us. What do you got?
I have got for you a zombie apocalypse TTRPG that is a commentary on capitalism.
Ooh.
Or a post-apocalyptic TTRPG about settlement building.
Ooh. 2 post-apocalyptic things today.
That's all I bring.
Also, this is an aside, but crazy because Loren is the first one, is the description of the book you're reading, a post-apocalyptic zombie novel, which is a commentary on capitalism.
Yeah, it's true.
What's the book?
It's called Severance. No relation to the TV show.
Cool. Can I borrow it?
Yeah, it's on the table, actually.
Sweet. So what would you guys like to hear about first?
I mean,
I want to hear about the Capitol.
yeah, I think the zombie thing, it's very related to what Loren and I have been discussing based on her book.
All right. So I have brought in a TTRPG called Red Markets. Have you guys ever heard of it?
No.
Red Markets is a zombie apocalypse RPG by ALL Games using a system called the Profit System. It doesn't really focus on combat with the undead. It's more about the economics and trade of a zombie apocalyptic world as opposed to the survival and fighting of zombies.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting. Okay.
I've been interested in reading this and haven't totally gotten to it. But instead, what I've done is look at other people's reviews of it.
Okay.
A lot of people are calling it a poverty simulator.
Oh.
Okay.
One of the things that has got me hesitant to dive in is like the first 150 plus pages are a lore dump on what's called the Crash.
Okay.
Which is the apocalyptic event that leads to the zombies.
Wow, that is a big lore dump.
Huge lore dump. And it's called the Crash because all of the mechanics of the game have like a economic aesthetic put onto it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's a D10 system.
Okay.
The mechanics for skill checks and various roles are pretty unique, I think. I haven't seen it elsewhere, but I'm not, I'm kind of uncultured. So when you do a skill check, you roll 2 D10s, and they have to be like distinct, not matching D10s. Yeah. Because one is the black, and one is the red. Are you in the red or are you in the black?
Got it. Okay.
And so the red D10 sets the difficulty, and you have to beat the DC of the red die with the black die, and you get bonuses.
Oh,
so
wow,
if
that's
you
very
meet or beat the DC, you succeed, and you're in the black.
Very cool.
Yeah, and if you fail, then you're in the red, and there's failure and consequences.
Wow. Okay. What are you doing in the game if you're not fighting zombies? What are you doing?
So you are trying to facilitate trade between settlements, things like that. There is opportunities to fight the undead because you're kind of fighting for your lives, but really you're just trying to survive under a apocalyptic capitalistic regime.
Very interesting. Is there like protecting your resources and like tracking and managing different resources? Is that kind of what the trading is?
Yeah, exactly. And so there is, a lot of mechanics around like the actual logistics of trade and all of that sort of thing.
Very interesting.
Wow, very interesting. And but your character sheet is for an individual character, not like for a settlement.
That's right.
Okay. Wow. Huh. That is very different than anything that I've heard of before. That's very cool.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe I should have saved this for a future episode when I have really jumped into the book a little more. But I think if you listen to the Patreon episode for April, I brought in an RPG called Resistance is Required, which is a RPG about activism and how movements are sustained and ultimately succeed. And I thought the commentary on capitalism was like a nice way to follow that up.
Yeah, for sure. And another RPG that is not focused on combat so much, which is obviously not as common. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
What is the lose condition? Are you could die, or it's more like you run out of resources, or is it more economic than that?
Opportunities for both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a dangerous world out there, and you can fail in many different ways.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Ain't that right, brother?
Hell yeah, brother.
A poverty simulator is like too much like real life.
I am very curious about
I am
this.
very curious as well, because that is a fun aspect of that is not often explored in D&D as much as like resource tracking. Like we were playing a campaign set in Ethereal Expanse, which has a fairly, I don't know. No, I guess as far as crunchy systems go, it's not very crunchy. But as far as D&D 5e systems go, it's pretty crunchy.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you're tracking resources and things for your ship. And that was really fun, but it was kind of strapped on to the rest of D&D, which is already a full game. So it felt kind of like it wasn't the focus of the game, and it fell by the wayside a bit. So
Totally.
I liked tracking that stuff, and I just wish it was more central in our game. And so this seems like the kind of thing that you could play where it is more central and is kind of given the time and the space that it does require. So that's cool. I'm very interested.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to diving deeper into it, and this is one that maybe I will run for you guys if you're interested.
Cool, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it, again, many of these can be campaign based, but is it kind of more designed as, well, I guess if it's got 150 pages of lore, it's probably designed for longer campaigns.
Yeah.
It's just like a bit of light reading.
Yeah.
The GM's guide is about 250 pages, and I think if you're playing a short form campaign, that's a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's an investment of time. That is definitely a barrier for me for trying some new TTRPGs is, so much reading that is required to jump in. Every game developer should try and make a starter set or a quick start guide that you could just dip your toes in with a little starter adventure or level 1 thing that can make it quick and easy to pick up, because that makes it so much less intimidating to try out new TTRPGs.
Totally. So yeah, that's Red Markets, and
Very
I'm excited to dive into it more.
Yeah, I hope you do run it for us. I want to get into the economics of
A zombie apocalypse.
Post-apocalypse. Yeah.
And if anyone was going to run a campaign for you that was getting too deep into the weeds on
Spreadsheets and economics. Yeah.
it might be me.
Hey, I'll be right there with my spreadsheet, right there with you. Who wants to go next? Me or you, Loren?
I can go.
All right. What you got for us?
Let me pitch you on a PC avatar generator that's not AI, or a Baldur's Gate board game.
Let's do the avatar generator.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a fantasy original character creator on Pick Crew. Do you guys know what Pick Crew is?
No.
Okay, so it's basically like a paper doll style avatar maker that exists. And there's a lot of people just like make these, like artists on the internet just like make these in their own art style. And you just like go to whatever their URL is, usually not like custom URLs.
Pit Crew is the platform that allows you to make an avatar generator?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
PICREW.
Oh, Pick Crew.
Pick Crew. Pick Crew. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so anyone can go on and make an avatar generator by drawing assets, and then they load them into this platform.
Correct.
And then make a URL that they can share. And then people can use their assets to make portraits.
Yes.
And outside of TTRPGs, why?
Well, I imagine you could use them to like create avatar/portraits for like Twitter or like anything that you would need like a profile picture for. So you can make them in like your own likeness.
Oh, okay.
This one specifically is for fantasy characters. So there's like elf ears and like tiefling horns and stuff. But like more widely, you definitely could just use them for like if you wanted an avatar for a profile picture and you don't know how to draw.
Wow. I am surprised that there's such a kind of infrastructure behind this for something that I've never really heard of outside of a TTRPG context.
It's super cool. Yeah, I was talking about this with one of our friends because she's used this before. And it's very useful for if you are the type of person who likes to put like custom portraits in your D&D Beyond character page. Because usually what I do is I'll just like troll Pinterest for like an image that looks vaguely like the vibe I'm going for.
Yeah.
Or what our friend has done is sometimes she'll just like make the character in like Baldur's Gate. I do not have the patience to do that because the customization is like insane.
Yeah. It's intense.
So this is like a good medium. I think it's like nice because you can like fully customize it. Like depending on the one that you use, you can fully customize it and you're using like somebody's art, like somebody like an artist has made all of these assets. So that's kind of nice.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we also often use Hero Forge to make our characters. And then just, if you don't want to purchase the mini, you can just screenshot it. But with Hero Forge, obviously, you're locked into that 3D style that they have. So if you want something in a different art style, that's very cool.
This would have been my dream about 15 years ago. Of the three of us, I am the most chronically online.
Correct.
And I was even more chronically online as a teenager. And I was all over message boards, which you guys have probably never heard of the concept of an internet message board.
I've heard of the concept. I was never on one because I wasn't allowed.
Before Reddit took everything over, you had to go to a specific website for your interest. And then if you were lucky, there was a web forum where you could chat about those sorts of things. And you always had an avatar and you always had a signature. And if you were lucky, you could find someone who could make you a custom avatar and signature, usually using Photoshop 7.
Like Flash Painter or whatever.
Tell us more about the old days, Grandpa.
And we had to post uphill both ways.
We had moderators.
I got banned for spam 4 times.
So what kind of options are there?
Okay, so for this one specifically, I've used like a few different versions of these Pit Crew avatar makers. I guess they're technically called Pit Crew image makers, but portrait makers. But this one that I like, it's by an artist. I think their name is Twi. It's spelled Twi, and they are I am the Twi on Twitter or the Twi on Blue Sky. It is like paper doll format. If you've ever, like, if you know the concept of paper dolls, you start with like kind of a blank slate and then you can just like add things on top to change up the look.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So for this one, you can change, there's like a variety of skin colors. There are like different eyes, different ears, like fantasy ears, like goblin, elf, whatever.
Cool.
You can add like different eyebrows, different like facial features, like beauty marks and freckles and like scars. And like the part that I really like about this one is that there are 6 different layers of hair options, which is amazing for people with like longer or like lots of like layers. So there's like a front piece if you have like whatever bangs, and there's like a back, there's like a middle, there's like ponytails, there's like little, you can add like money pieces that are different colors. It's very cool. It's very exciting because that's like the part that I find the most frustrating in doing stuff on like Hero Forge is that you're locked into like one thing, and if you have like a ponytail, it's like an insanely like whatever high, thin, or like very thick ponytail, and you're like, well, that's the only ponytail option, so I guess I'm locked in.
Because as well, it's designed for 3D printing, so there's limitations there. So there's no limitations here as far as what the shapes can be. So that's very cool. Yeah, I think you're just gonna have to check this out yourself. We'll put the link down below, but it's very cool. It's totally free to use. Wow. You can download it and kind of put it everywhere. It has the little like watermark for this person's socials, like in the corner, which is great. I spent... Seems like a fair trade. Definitely, yeah. I spent like an hour making this. The one thing I wish it had was maybe a few more like skin tone variations, because I think that's the thing that most people struggle with, is that there's either like a very pale option and then like a middle option and then like 1 or 2 darker options, but there's not very many things in between. And like with this one, I bet they're probably limited to like the amount that you can add. For a fantasy version of this, you want to have like a full range of colors for like tieflings and stuff, so that probably limits the amount of like human skin tones you can add. Right. So that's like maybe my one wish, is that I wish there was maybe more like skin tone variations, but otherwise there are like
like so many options that you can do for like hair, eyes, like backgrounds, and like.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably a limitation of the Pick Crew platform, because like other avatar generators I've seen just have like a color swatch where you can just make it any color you want.
And I don't think that's an option here.
Yeah. Wow, that's very cool. Okay, cool. And does it have any kind of gallery or anything with pre-made options, or it's just like more like if you're making for a character or some kind of important NPC where you have to go in and do it from scratch every time?
There is a randomizer.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of just like randomize everything.
Oh, cool.
And then you can just like fix whatever you want. I don't prefer that. I guess it kind of reminds me of like The Sims.
Okay.
When it just like randomly generates like a look and you're like, I have to change everything because this is insane.
Yeah. But I guess where my mind goes more is for NPCs.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome, because having to make NPC portraits manually is not sustainable.
Definitely. Yeah.
But a randomizer is very cool.
Totally.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's very cool. And I'm very excited about it. I'm going to use it for all of my future characters.
I'm very excited to check it out.
Kelly, it's just you.
It's just me. Just me left. All right. Well, I have a book that I think should be required reading for all DMs and GMs, or a concept that made my players, that's you guys, feel more heroic and made combat easier to balance.
Oh, that's a tough one.
2 real clickbaity options here. I'm gonna bait you.
You know what? I think that we should not Patreon wall required reading.
Yeah, fair. Okay, let's democratize required reading. Lorena already knows what this is because I cannot stop talking about it. I've been talking her ear off for the last week and a half about it.
I'm just going, yes, dear.
While you're on vacation?
Yes. Yes, I read this on vacation. Couldn't stop. It's awesome. The book is The Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master by Michael Shea, also known as Sly Flourish from the blog slyflourish.com. Mike Shea has been a long-time TTRPG creator and writer, and he put out a previous book, and then this is kind of like the rewriting and reimagining of that with new ideas, called The Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, and it's from, I think, 2016, so it's not new. Cool. But it's really great. It's an easy read. It's like 90 pages, 8.5 by 11, kind of, standard TTRPG book size. I've looked at the Sly Flourish blog, and I love Mike's ideas on there, but for some reason, in the layout of the blog, I never fully connected with the material there, but the way that Mike laid it out in the book is like really good. The ideas in there aren't revolutionary necessarily, but there's so many nuggets of wisdom in there that I just, every chapter I was like, yeah, that's absolutely right. I should be doing it that way. I should be doing it differently.
He did make a lot of noises while reading this book. It was not a silent read.
And Kelly's not a noisy guy.
You don't live with him.
So, I think if you were to take the DMing style in this book and adopt it completely, it's not totally my style, but I'm really looking forward to trying out the style fully and then kind of like bringing it back somewhere in the middle for me as far as prep. But anyways, that's a lot of vague talk, and now I want to specifically talk about some ideas from it. The whole mantra of the Lazy DM is to only prep what makes your games better. Only prep as much as you need to feel comfortable improvising the rest of the table. That's like the whole thing about the idea of the Lazy DM is prep less, but prep efficiently, and in ways that you can feel comfortable improvising everything else at the table.
You had me until you said prep efficiently. I prep as little as I can and improv as much as I can.
And that is totally in the ethos of the Lazy DM, and it's more about finding out what are the most efficient things to prep so that you can improvise everything else and still run a world that feels intentional and not just kind of totally made up on the fly, but it's kind of like behind the scenes, you are improvising a lot. In the book, Mike talks about like prepping sort of 15 to 30 minutes for a session. That's kind of his goal.
Nice. I could get up to 15 or 30.
And so it's all about, he has a lazy DM checklist and which the things that he preps first. And always at the top of the list is to review your players' character sheets first. Look at their spells, look at their abilities. Everything starts with the players. And that way you can plan any encounters or the story or anything is always around the players, because another little tidbit in there, a quote from the book is, at the end of the day, your players just want to see their characters do cool things.
Right.
And so starting your prep by reviewing their character sheets and the kind of magic items that they're picking up, the spells that they're taking, allows you to build the world around them to allow them to do cool things. Not to necessarily counter what they're doing, but to set up situations that allow them to use their cool abilities to succeed.
Absolutely.
The other key idea I took away is the idea of a strong start. Mike starts every session in media res, like in the action right away. And I think that's awesome advice, because we've had questions in the past about how do you like rein in your players and how do you get people into the zone of playing TTRPGs and D&D. And I think starting in action is an awesome way to start.
Definitely.
Because at the beginning of the session is one of the few parts of the session that you get to fully control. So starting with something happening is awesome advice.
It's an interesting idea. It might take some creativity and actually a lot of planning for the end of your session to be able to start the next session, being able to cut to in medias res.
Totally. Or, I mean, it also depends on your style of game. Not every game kind of ends real time and picks up real time. You can kind of like recap and then, start with something happening. But it could even be like, no matter where it is, just like, an NPC running up to your party being like, oh my God, this thing happened. We got to do this.
You have to help me.
Yeah, exactly. It could be all of a sudden, whatever, goblins, storm into the tavern. Wherever your players are, that is one of the few things that is in the lazy DM checklist about prepping, is the strong start and how you're going to start the campaign or start the session with a bang.
I really like that.
So, I mean, the whole book is jam-packed with stuff, and I'm very excited to explore it more and maybe do some reading together of the book and discussing the ideas in it. But those were kind of the three main takeaways that I had, is that just in general, the ethos of only prep what makes your game better is like the heart of the idea.
Cool.
Start with a strong start. And then always review your players' character sheets first and every single prep session.
Where can I find this book?
The book is self-published, and it's available on DriveThruRPG in digital or physical format, and it's also available on Amazon in physical format. It's like a print-on-demand thing. I got the physical book just because I prefer to read physical books, and it was great. The art is really fun, and the layout is excellent. Every chapter ends with a summary checklist of what was in the chapter. And so you can just, in the first chapter, talks about kind of how to use the book. And one of the things that Mike encourages is that you go back and review these checklists at the end. And I think I'm just going to make a document of all the checklist items at the end of the chapters for me to review often. Of all the things that I've read, it has been the most densely packed with gems of information of anything I've read. After reviewing or reading the DM's guide, I think this is the next thing any DM should read.
This sounds really great, and I'm really glad that you brought it in.
If you want to learn about another post-apocalyptic TTRPG, a Baldur's Gate board game, or a concept that Kelly has used on his players, aka us, to make us feel more heroic, consider joining us on Patreon. The bonus episode is available on the $2 tier, and there are lots of extra little goodies on there, including those 3 items, so check it out.
And if you join this month, there will be 3 bonus episodes up there already. So for $2, you can listen to 3 bonus episodes.
That's 9 extra items.
And you would also get deep appreciation from us.
That segment was brought to you by Character Portraits, where you can test out blunt baby bangs and bright pink hair even if you haven't just gone through a breakup or quarter-life crisis. Character Portraits. Go on, live vicariously.
I love that.
And now it's time for Pop Culture Character Build, a segment where we overanalyze a character from our favorite movie, TV show, book series, or video game and turn them into a character you can sneak into your next D&D game. This episode, we're building 5th level Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher, plural.
You made that hard on yourself. I am very excited to tell you guys about mine, so I am just going to volunteer to go first.
All right.
I will preface this with two things. The first is that there basically is a Witcher class already.
The Blood Hunter?
The Blood Hunter, yeah. And there's a mutagen subclass of the Blood Hunter made by Matt Mercer. And so if you literally want to play The Witcher, you should just get that. But if you want to subtly play The Witcher, maybe try out our builds.
I don't know how subtle mine is.
Okay.
Mine's pretty subtle.
Okay.
And my other piece of prefacing is that my knowledge is based off of mostly the TV show and a little bit of the game, The Witcher 3, and not of the books at all. So don't at me if my character is inaccurate.
Yeah, Henry Cavill wasn't in the books.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Kelly. My knowledge of The Witcher gets worse.
My knowledge of The Witcher is Henry Cavill in leather pants. That's my Witcher.
It's my knowledge of most things.
That image is actually above our bed.
Yeah, it's a 60-inch painting. I built Geralt the Wizard. You're a wizard, Geralt.
Ooh.
The blade singing wizard.
Nice.
Ooh, I love a blade singer.
That's a good one.
My first character.
Yeah, Alec played a blade singer and was very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful wizard.
And I based that off because of this line in the Witcher wiki that said, Witchers always fight with one hand to leave one hand free for casting. Because Witchers use things called signs. And so what I've done is I've mapped each sign, each of the 9 signs, to spells.
Cool.
So, as I always do, I built Geralt as a variant human because I love the ASI and the feats because it's OP. But if you're playing 2024 D&D, then just go with a regular human and take the feat and the skill. I chose the Far Traveler background because you get playing cards for Gwent, obviously. And I knew that it was called Gwent, and Lauren didn't just Google it.
Yeah, correct.
I knew it all along.
Obviously.
And I would take the Magic Initiate Warlock feat for reasons that will become known very soon. And I would take the Animal Handling skill for Roach, his horse, because you're going to have to bond with a horse, and you're going to have a very good relationship with your horse. And I would take a longsword. Geralt fights with, could be a longsword, maybe a short sword. I think it's a longsword.
Bastard sword.
Yeah, and you can use that with the Blade Singer. Each of the 9 signs, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of all of these, so just fair warning. Ard, which is a telekinetic push. I would take the telekinetic feat, and that allows you to do a telekinetic shove as a bonus action. Axii, which calms people down or charms people. You could either take the Friend's Cantrip or Charm Person. The Hate Reflecting Sign absorbs the rage of an opponent and sends it back at them. That is why I took the Warlock Initiate to get Hellish Rebuke.
Ooh.
Heliotrop creates a buffer against physical attacks, also impacts with walls and the ground. That's kind of like Shield and also Featherfall, depending on the scenario. So I took those 2 spells. Igni, Pyrotechnic Burst that can repel opponents and start fires. Firebolt, it doesn't really repel opponents, but Firebolt was the closest thing. Quen produces a protective shield against sonic attacks. This is the only one that I couldn't do because silence is not a wizard spell. Yeah, Quen, I had to get a little creative, and you're going to have to carry a scroll of silence around. There were ways that you could multi-class in, but then it's really not advantageous. So for the 1 sign to get silence, just carry a scroll. Then there is Somn, where you put someone to sleep. That's the sleep spell. Supire enhances auditory perception used to overhear someone. I did Detect Thoughts because Scry is a 5th level spell, so not going to be getting Scry anytime soon.
Yeah.
And the last one, Irden, protects an area from monsters, slows them down, and makes incorporeal forces corporeal. I chose Magic Circle It's not.
Oh, okay.
It protects an area, but it doesn't necessarily slow monsters down. You could also obviously take the slow spell, but and then there was no spell I could find that makes incorporeal forces corporeal, because in D&D incorporeal forces just have resistances.
Yeah.
So there's no need for that.
One thing that you could take at a later level, I think it's called Blink, which you would be able to make yourself kind of incorporeal.
Oh yeah.
Because you're going between, I think, the ethereal plane and this plane.
Yeah.
Something like that.
True. That's true. So that's another option. The part that I latched onto was protects an area.
Right.
So I thought Magic Circle did that. So yeah, those are the 9 signs with 9 spells. Geralt, the blade singing wizard. Geralt, the blade singing witcher. If you will.
Toss a coin to your wizard.
Toss a coin to your wizard.
Very good.
And obviously there are some fun multi-class stuff you can do with blade singing wizard, but the extra attack at 6th level is so good that if you're just building to like tier 1 or 2 characters, then definitely just go straight blade singing wizard, because you want that extra attack. That's the best thing. What do you guys got? Let me hear your Geralts.
All right. First, I'm going to give you my Witcher resume.
Okay.
I have not played The Witcher.
Okay. That's surprising to me.
I have not seen The Witcher.
Okay.
And I have not read The Witcher.
Okay.
So...
This is very funny because you pitched making these. This was your pitch.
Well, I made a list of potential characters, and I thought Geralt would be a good one.
Yeah. And I got very excited about it.
Clearly. So what I did do was some reading, some YouTube watching, and then I talked to my friend who has read all the novels.
Oh, a real fan.
I really wanted to approach Geralt from the novels, even though I have no frame of reference for anything.
Okay.
And she wrote me an essay.
Oh, nice.
On The Witcher, and then told me that I should really try playing The Witcher 3.
Yeah. I need to get into it more. I played for a little bit, and then I just kind of put it down one day and never picked it back up, but I really would love to beat it.
I am actually more interested in reading the novels because my understanding is that they're really weird and political.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to blaze through this because you guys are going to at me in the comments.
Right.
I've made Geralt the Oath of Ancients Paladin.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Oath of the Ancients and Paladin both kind of represent Geralt being like one of the last Witchers and one of the last good ones.
Yeah.
I made him a dwarf, which a lot of the features of dwarves actually kind of mirror a lot of the mutations.
Like poison resistance.
Resistance, you age more slowly.
Yeah.
Dark vision.
Yeah.
True.
And then Paladin also gets resistance or immunity to diseases later on. So I thought that was
Totally.
fitting.
Yeah, totally.
One of the other reasons I picked a Paladin is because you can summon a steed.
Nice, yeah.
And then obviously it's like a half caster, and I think that really fits the Witcher vibe.
Yep.
I would, not all paladins are holy, but they get their powers from their oaths. But usually in D&D, you're still really flavoring them to be quite holy or divine.
Yeah.
I would talk to my GM about not flavoring the magic that way.
Yeah, for sure. Flavoring paladins as getting their magic from somewhere else, I think, is also specifically referenced in either the 2024 or the 2014 is to really invite your players to paladins can draw their energy from other places.
Awesome. Yeah. Because of the world of The Witcher, especially in the novels, Geralt isn't like hot.
You lost me there. I'm out. Sorry. For this reason, I'm out.
And, people tend to discriminate against, he's got the no pigment in his hair and all that.
Yeah.
I would dump stat charisma, but he's paladin.
Yeah.
I did the same.
Dump stat for mechanical reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't dump stat charisma.
Okay.
The problem with trying to build Geralt is he's kind of good at everything.
Good at everything. Yeah. Lauren and I had this conversation as well. Yeah.
Which often means that it's like when a character is just like good at everything, they're usually like actually not that good of a character.
Not interesting, yeah.
But Geralt kind of
is still interesting. Yeah, for sure.
It's one thing that I really noticed. But for me, a lot of just some light flavoring, making some very basic choices based on Geralt. I think the way that I would slip more of Geralt into a D&D campaign with my character is just through choices and role play. For that, I would need to have a better knowledge of Geralt. So that's my very basic build.
Okay, nice. Summoning Roach.
Summoning Roach for sure.
All right, Loren, give me your Geralt.
All right. So my resume, I have seen the first 2 seasons of the show. I have the game. I own the game on Steam.
Wow.
Haven't played it, but I've watched a few playthroughs. And I have read half of the first short story anthology.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
How is it so far?
It's good. Yeah, there's little bits that I recognize from the show, like little stories from the short stories, like little bits that I recognize from the show. But otherwise, yeah, he is, I wouldn't say not charismatic, but he's very blunt for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to listen to the audiobooks at least, or maybe read the actual books.
Does Henry Cavill narrate them?
Oh, you know what? I feel like there must be I mean, Henry Cavill's so into The Witcher. That would be very fitting.
Okay, so I went a little basic. I am a ranger lover, so I built a monster slayer ranger, a strength-based ranger.
Cool.
He has proficiencies in animal handling for Roach, stealth, insight, and expertise in perception.
Nice.
He has the great weapon fighting style. The reason why I went with Ranger is because of this bit that I read called Hunter's Sense, where you gain the ability to look at a creature and magically discern how best to hurt it.
Oh, cool.
So as an
Very
action,
fitting.
you can like look at a creature and immediately learn whether the creature has any damage, immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities and what they are, which just felt very like knowledge-based for him specifically because he knows a lot about monsters.
That is very fitting. I always feel bad, though, when players take those abilities because in 5e, there are not a lot of resistances and there's almost no vulnerabilities. Yeah. And I can't remember who, but I think in the last 2 campaigns, players have taken those, and I feel so bad when they use an action on their turn in combat, the whole action, and I just have to be like, sorry, there's nothing.
I got nothing for you, kid.
There's no resistances. It's just straight up.
It does come in handy, though, sometimes when you learn that they have resistance to, like, non-magical damage,
sure.
which is, like, then you're not wasting your time. Just like...
Yeah, for sure. But I guess what I would do is, if my player took one of those again, is I would put more monsters in that have resistances to reward them for using that.
Yeah.
Because it's really fun to be able to use that thing and then get some inside information.
Definitely.
But yes, that is very fitting for Geralt. Nice.
Similar to yours, I took the Magic Initiate feat at 4th level to learn wizard spells.
Nice.
Also for like the signs, I have Friends, Shield, and Create Bonfire.
Oh yeah.
For my fire one.
Yeah.
I also have Ranger spells, Dark Vision, which is like, I guess, the elixir that he takes.
Yeah.
To be able to see in the dark.
Yep. It takes a bunch of, one of them for sure.
Yeah. Silence. I have Silence because I'm a ranger. Hunter's Mark, Goodberry for funsies, and Beast Bond just because I thought that might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
I also took a page out of Kelly's book and went Variant Human to have the Great Weapons Master feat. And I also did the Far Traveler background.
Nice. Yeah, and you Great Weapon Master, that's also an origin feat in the new 2024 human. So even if you're playing 2024, you can just choose regular human and take Great Weapon Master.
Considering how we haven't played 2024 D&D, you're always so knowledgeable about what's in there.
Well, I've been perusing it because there's actually some really good stuff. And I think the next campaign we run, I will run it. The character creation stuff that they did, it's not a new system, but it's not a new version. It's just what 2014 should have been 10 years ago.
Gotcha.
There's just a lot of really, I think, in my opinion, good little tweaks that just make sense. A lot of stuff that is from 2014 where it's just kind of like, oh, that was kind of awkward. They've just fixed it. And then obviously they've tuned the damage and stuff a bit more, increased player damage overall, mostly, except Paladin, which a lot of people are upset about. they nerfed Divine Smites. But overall, increased player damage, increased monster damage, reduced monster hit points to make combat more explosive but shorter. Anyways, I think it's a lot of good changes, and I've been perusing the books and been very pleased with what I've seen so far.
Right on.
And also this is a real tangent, but for my previous video that just came out about 9 rules you're getting wrong, I learned so much about some little things that they've changed that I just had no idea about. Like very small minor changes, like surprise is no longer, it's really nerfed now. It's all you do is get advantage on initiative. That's it. So it's definitely, which I think is good, because although it was way more fun if the monsters were surprised, it was really fun for the players. It changed the combat so much. Like it changed the balance of the combat immensely.
That's true.
So it was almost too powerful to use, and I rarely ever used it. And especially, I almost never used it on my players because it felt so unfair. And little things like you now recover all of your hit dice on a single long rest instead of half your hit dice. So anyways, lots of small changes that I learned about. Yeah, overall, pleased.
I've been kind of hesitant to dive into 2024. Now I think, based on what you've been telling me, I'm going to take a peek.
Yeah, it's, again, if you are happy playing 5e, there's no reason to switch. It's not a new version. If you are interested in perusing the free rules, then definitely do. But yeah, it's definitely, there should be no pressure to buy $150 of new books. Not necessary at all. But if you don't have the books and you're jumping into D&D, then I mean, yeah, I like it more than the 2014.
I've just been feeling that if I'm going to learn updates to rules, if I'm going to learn new rules, I might as well just like go check out other systems.
Totally. And I definitely feel that as well. And I am also been reading more about Draw Steel, and I'm very excited to run that as well. I am going to run that before I run D&D 2024.
Hell yeah. I'm so looking forward to Draw Steel.
Yeah.
If for some reason you're not familiar, Draw Steel is the TTRPG by MCDM Productions, Matt Colville. You know Matt Colville. I don't know why I'm telling you what Draw Steel is.
Daddy DM on YouTube.
Yeah. My dad.
It's currently in development and in beta, and it should be coming out sometime next year. But I backed the Kickstarter, so I get the backer packets with the beta releases. Anyways, this was a massive tangent from our Witcher thing. All to say, Lauren, I like your ranger build.
I actually wasn't done.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Classic, being the only woman in the room. Everybody starts talking over. I'm just kidding. No, that was it.
Wow.
A basic Monster Slayer Ranger.
All right.
Geralt.
I'm also very excited to talk about the adventure, because there's a lot of different ways you could take it. And it's just such a classic fantasy setting that we're going to build a Geralt Witcher adventure on the Patreon. If you want some campaign inspiration for how you could start a campaign that's pretty flexible, come check it out on the Patreon.
That segment was brought to you by Henry Cavill in leather pants. Henry Cavill in leather pants. Toss a coin or a single or maybe even a 5.
Wow, if you can get it in there, they're pretty tight.
I'm certainly going to try.
Our next segment is Would You Rather. There's not really much to explain if you've ever played Would You Rather before. We're doing that, except with TTRPG related questions.
Like we're at a sleepover.
We're at a sleepover.
These were supposed to be TTRPG related.
Would you rather kiss me or Kelly?
Don't make me choose. So each of us have come prepared with a couple of Would You Rather questions related to D&D or tabletop RPGs in general. We're going to pose them to each other and have a quick discussion. Who'd like to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
Would you rather commit to being the only serious character in an otherwise silly campaign setting where everyone else has funny names, voices, and backstories?
No.
Or accidentally show up to a super serious table with a funny character and voice and have to follow through with it for the entirety of the campaign?
That one.
I'm fully with Kelly on this one, because I think we generally take silly characters with silly backstories and silly voices and find ways to make them serious.
Yeah. I find it
Kelly does
so
that really well.
much. I think you do it as well. I find it so much easier. I don't know why, but I find it so much easier to start silly and become serious than go the other way.
It's the same reason that comedians are better actors than actors are comedians.
Right.
Right. True. Yeah. I feel like once you start serious, doing something goofy seems out of character and out of place. But if you're a goofy person and you have a heartfelt moment, it's kind of like, oh, every person has serious emotions. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just like moments of poignancy, right?
Yeah. What about you, Lauren?
I lean the opposite way because I feel like if I showed up at a super serious table with like a goofy character, I would feel so awkward about it. And I would just like, even though I couldn't, but this scenario couldn't just like flip on a dime, I would just feel so uncomfortable the whole time. So I would rather just be the straight man in a silly campaign and like I'll like allow for like layups maybe.
Yeah, you just show up to like, hi, I'm Vladimir the Brave.
Yeah.
And I'm Lemo. The Goblin Princess.
Yeah.
I'm Lemon to George.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what happened to Sam Riegel in Campaign 2, showed up with his silly goblin voice. I mean, he became a serious character. But then again, Laura Bailey's never a totally serious character.
Well, I think that's what happened. The opposite is what happened to Liam O'Brien in Campaign 2.
True. Yeah.
He was the only one who showed up with an extremely serious character.
That's true.
This is funny. You guys are probably going to disagree with my perspective, but okay. I feel like when we play, I show up with like kind of serious characters with your guys' silly little guys.
I would agree with that. I think your characters...
Like on paper, they're very serious.
And I think you've told me before that you would prefer on the spectrum to lean serious than silly in a campaign.
Yeah, I like, Well, it's just that when we first started playing D&D, we were all so NADPOD pilled that we were even making like the same inside jokes from NADPOD.
Yeah, in our game,
Guys, can we be serious here?
And also I think because in the beginning... role-playing, we felt so awkward that it was easier to make fun of it, to ease our own nerves. It was easier to like make fun of what we were doing by being silly than it was to engage in serious role-play and have emotionally poignant moments. But now that we're past that, I think we can have both.
Yeah, and I've definitely mellowed out as a player, and I'm like down to play ball with whatever is put in front of me. Yeah,
and I think it's just our evolution as players to be able to feel comfortable enough in those emotional moments and that it's not silly. It's not, I think for myself, I felt embarrassed that I was feeling real emotions while sitting around a table, playing pretend with my friends. But now that I'm not embarrassed about that anymore, I think I can feel those emotions for real and then also feel the funny stuff.
That said, even though I said I'd pick the silly character, and I have made silly characters. I'm not just a serious Sam over here. I think I would much rather have the experience of taking somebody else's silliness earnestly than witnessing somebody do a serious scene and insert myself in a silly way.
True. I guess it depends what kind of players these are like. Because if they're super not open to a silly character, then it would be awkward to do silly things and then be met with just like silence or just like a side eye of like
or get the patented Kelly. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. We sort of have had a player like this in one of our campaigns.
Oh.
Who has shown up with just characters that are 10 times sillier than what anyone else has done.
Right. They came in as a guest in our campaign, and their character was just
a caricature.
A caricature, a very, very silly character in what was kind of a more serious place in the campaign. So it was a little out of place.
Not dunking on this person though, because it ended up being really good. And
it was really fun, and it kind of brought the mood up in which we were in a very serious place. So not a negative at all, but it did happen to us where we showed up to this session with a very different expectation, and then the first minute was like, oh, okay.
Maybe we'll tell the story one day.
Yeah, but they did join one of our campaigns, your most recent campaign, Kelly, and did have a sillier character than everyone else. But
but just in voice mostly. Well, actually, the way they acted, you're right.
No.
Yeah, but found a way to make it fit the vibe of the party and the vibe of the world in like a really cool way.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So, all right. Well, one on either side and Alex sitting in the middle, maybe going back and forth.
See, I am going back and forth, but I am going to commit to being the silly guy in a group of serious guys because, again, I can take a silly little guy and make him earnest.
Yeah. I'm going to go next. Would you rather never be able to play D&D again or only be able to play D&D forever?
I would pick only play D&D forever. I think.
That's a really tough choice. I wrote much worse would you rather questions. My head is telling me never play D&D again. My heart is telling me play only D&D.
I think I would never play D&D again, only because of how many exciting things are coming out right now, and I'm really optimistic about the future of TTRPGs, and I would have such FOMO hearing about all of these TTRPGs that continue to come out and be like, I can't play any of them.
That's true.
So yeah, I think I'd have to go never play D&D again.
You've completely swayed me.
Yeah,
because, you know, if you don't play D&D, you can still stick to one system.
True.
If you want to.
Totally. You can pick a new system.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Like I mentioned, Draw Steel, I'm really excited for. DC-20, I'm excited to dive into the playtest kit of that. Also, Pathfinder 2E is releasing a new starter set in the fall.
We haven't even opened our other one.
We haven't even opened the 1E starter set. So yeah, I think the future of TTRPGs is bright, and I think I get FOMO. So I think
you're right. Yeah.
Scroll in the TTRPG news, and Shadow Dark just had that huge Kickstarter for their new setting.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I would be scrolling the news and just feeling forever grass is greener.
Well, you know what? You're kind of in that position right now already because we haven't really been branching out as much as we'd like.
Yeah, we are currently locked in, but it's not a requirement. We just haven't put in the work to...
Yeah. Which is a reminder, we've got some homework to do, everybody. We have to make a list of the RPGs we'd like to try and prioritize them.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the year where we really dive into multiple systems.
Absolutely. Well, I've already committed to... The next thing I'm running is an adventure from the One Ring starter set. I have to schedule that. And then after that, we're going to play Draw Steel.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And then we got to make the rest of the list.
Masks. We have to play Masks.
Yeah, we have to play Masks.
Did you change your mind, or are you sticking with...
I changed my mind. Yeah, I changed my mind.
We have 3 only play never play D&Ds. Yeah. Only play other game systems, which I think is so fair. Here's mine.
All right.
Would you rather have a player at your table who never stays in character or one who never stops being in character?
Ooh, Daniel
Never
Day-Lewis
stops being
style.
in character. Yeah, I wanted Daniel Day-Lewis at my table. And who's the other one that's really...
I guess it depends on what the character is.
No matter what, I want always in character.
I don't know. I think it could sway.
But I mean, you could still get new friends in this scenario. So
True.
yeah, I would definitely choose always be in character. And if they sucked, I would get new friends.
Yeah, I think that it is actually a tough one for me because I think that you can do a lot of effective role-playing even without role-playing, without being in character. And there are actually DMs who don't role-play in character as well.
Totally.
So it's totally viable, but I think my heart is telling me I'd rather have someone who stays in character.
I just personally really like role-playing, and especially as a GM, I like role-playing NPCs with my characters. That is 50% of the fun of D&D for me.
Definitely. When I'm DMing, most of what I'm doing is just role-playing NPCs with you guys. Yeah.
I think I'm going to go the other side of the fence, guys.
Oh.
I think I would rather have somebody who is like one person at the table who maybe isn't in character when we play than have somebody speak to me like like a medieval.
I doth protest, my lady.
Yeah, that I could see that getting real annoying real fast.
Well, I'll go away and do some research and come back in the next episode and see how annoyed Loren is.
Yeah, we won't be married anymore. We'll have gotten a divorce.
Prithee, my lady.
I hate it already.
It is time for us to away. Dinner? Okay.
Hard, no.
Dinner? I hardly know her.
That segment was brought to you by Always Being in Character. Oh, it's being in character. I'm Gregory Lemonade or whatever Alex said.
Lemon to George.
Lemon to George.
Although I love Gregory Lemonade. That's my next D&D character. Gregory Lemonade.
Now we're doing a segment called 2 DMs, 1 Player, which is a little game we made up where Alec and I DM in 60-second intervals for Loren. We're trying to get Loren to say a secret word. We cannot say the word or any part of the word, and we have 3 opportunities to do so. Each time Loren says the word, we get a point. If we say the word or any part of the word, we get -2 points. In this episode, we are rolling on a special roll table of words made up entirely from you, the listeners. Thank you so much for leaving comments and reviews. We really appreciate it. Now, Loren, go away.
Okay.
We need to find out what the word is.
I will get lost.
Kick rocks.
But don't tell Loren there's only 1 word submitted, so we're just going to do that one. So this is just for show for Loren, for obfuscation. I can never say that word.
All right, what's the word?
It is cobblestone.
Okay.
And Loren is back.
Hi, I zoned out.
Loren just zoned out. Didn't even plug her ears. Okay, now let's see who's going to go first.
High roll goes first.
High roll goes first, okay.
17.
Doesn't get much higher than that.
Ooh, reroll. It's a 17 as well.
It is a 7.
Oh.
Wishful
You sure about that,
thinking.
bud?
I think so.
Darn. All right. Before we get started, Loren, tell me about your character.
I'm going to play a halfling fighter named Barbara.
Barbara, the halfling fighter.
She's a feisty little
And
gal.
what's Barbara? Where is Barbara? And what's Barbara up to?
Barbara is at home trying to figure out how to knit.
Okay.
And she's not having a good time with it.
And what is home?
Oh, home is like a little cottage, I think, probably in the middle of town.
Okay.
A small town.
Let's throw 60 seconds on the clock.
I hope the word is knitting.
Alex already won. 3, 2, 1, go.
We're going to start things off with a roll. Barbara, go ahead and make me a knitting check. Ooh, that is a 4.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks single digits.
You have actually been making progress on the first line of a scarf. And just as you're about to start the second row, everything goes awry.
Oh, God. It's like unraveling. How is this even happening?
And who do you live with? Do you live with your parents?
Yeah, with my parents. I live in the basement.
Barbara, what's that goddamn commotion?
Don't worry about it.
You gotta get a job, a real job.
I'm trying.
Your knitting company's never gonna take off.
I'm going to get on Etsy.
What's Etsy?
I don't know.
Hey, there's a couple of job opportunities in town. Maybe you could do something with your life.
Okay, I throw down my knitting needles in my botched second row and go upstairs.
You go upstairs to do what?
To see what my dad's got to say.
Okay. He goes, yeah, I was down at the local tavern. I saw this on the poster board. There's a job board, and they're looking for a path layer.
A path layer?
Yeah, they're building a new subdivision on the east side of town, and, like 30 new cottages, and they need a bunch of garden paths.
Okay, I don't think any of my skills would be good for that, but I guess I'll go.
It says no experience required, so.
All right, Dad. I'll humor you.
Yeah, it says it pays 1 copper per day, so that's pretty good.
That doesn't. Okay, sure. I guess it's more than I'm making now.
Okay, great. Well, don't come home till you made 1 copper.
Okay. God, this guy sucks. I gotta move out.
So what do you do?
I guess I will follow whatever the address was on the poster that he had memorized somehow and head off.
So the ad kind of told you a crossroads to go to. You head out and you can see that there's already a dirt path. And they are, there's a small work crew, actually mostly halflings like yourself, and they are doing some mason work to cut rocks down to make a nicer, more rocky road.
Okay. I will go up to whoever looks like they're in charge and be like, hey, I'm looking for work.
Hey, you look wicked strong. You down to lay some path?
Yeah, I guess so. My dad says I have to get a job, so that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, you walk up and you see this halfling man. Is kind of like dressed a bit nicer than everyone else, all of the other laborers around, and goes, all right, well, you've got the job. You're hired.
Oh,
You're the
great.
new foreman.
Excellent.
And he hands you a hard hat. All right, so you're pretty much in charge. So you built a lot of paths before, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So you're the expert here. So we need 30 paths and, materials, whatever. You just tell me what you need. They got to be real good. They got to be real good paths. These are going to be fancy cottages. We're trying to attract a lot of city dwellers,
Got it.
So, anyways, here's this form. You just write down what you need, quantities of materials, people, whatever, and I'll get it for you.
Okay, great.
What do you put on the form?
I guess I'm going to walk around the other workers. I'm going to go far away from this guy because I just lied to him. So go to the other workers and just do some little like chit chats, not small talk, but like, hey, like what's going on here? Like what are we working on? What do we need?
This is my first day. I don't really know what we're doing.
What are you currently working on? You're working on a path?
I'm currently trying to make myself look busy so people don't know that I'm not doing nothing.
Oh, okay. You probably shouldn't tell me that. I am in charge now.
Oh no.
That's okay.
What can I do for you, ma'am?
Well, I'm just trying to get an idea of quantity. What are we building here? We're making a road.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think you need for that?
I mean, you're the foreman. Aren't you supposed to tell me what I need?
Yes, but I'm in charge, so I don't do this little busy work.
Oh.
Can you tell I've never worked in the trades?
Another teenager comes up, halfling teenager comes up to you and goes, so what are we doing? What's going on? You tell me where to lay the paths.
Do you have all the equipment you need?
No, I don't know anything. I just got here. You tell me exactly what I need to do.
Where did the guy who was in charge, where did he go?
He left.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'll stand on a rock and be like, does anybody here know how to lay paths?
You hear in chorus resounding, no.
Cool. Okay.
They said no experience required.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
You're the foreman. Tell us what to do.
I don't know. We're just laying cobblestone, right? That's all we're doing. So
we need paths. We need materials.
There's nothing here?
There's nothing here.
They didn't provide any material.
Audio listeners, I'm shaking Kelly's hand.
Audio listeners, it was very clammy.
On whose end?
Me. My hand. My clammy hands.
It's actually true. Kelly clammed up. I think there's a real advantage to going second.
I think so too. I did actually, for the first time, have a bit of a strategy in mind. If you weren't going to go, I liked your landscape strategy though. That was very good. Or the job strategy. You set that up, and I assumed you were going for a landscaper. My other thought possibly was to go like a Three Little Pigs scenario, except the brick house was not going to be good enough either.
So you got to make a cobblestone
house.
The natural evolution that Loren would think of.
I don't know if Loren would have gone for it, but
cobblestone house, definitely not.
Okay. I was going to prompt you with asking what your house was made of, and then have a wolf show up, start blowing houses down.
I have a decent strategy for going second. I have no strategy for going first.
Yeah.
When I go first, I'm like, I'll just try to set something up, I guess.
Toss something out there. Yeah, absolutely.
But by the way, this is an extremely fun game to play. I recommend that you play it at home.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's very easy, low lift, and it's a good way to practice your improvisation skills because it's really like you're under a time crunch and you just have to let out whatever is the first thing that comes to your mind. You just got to go out.
Yeah.
Do you know what the word was, Loren?
No.
It was cobblestone.
Oh, sick. Okay. Which I said
once.
One time. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
One time. Thank you very much to Michael Emmett for submitting Cobblestone. You were our lonely word submitter, and I lied to Loren this morning and said there were others, so she wouldn't know. But thank you so much for commenting on an episode, and thank you also to Private Thickums, great name
Excellent.
as well.
Incredible name.
For your review on Apple Podcasts. And thank you to everyone who rated the show on Spotify. We have 12 5-star ratings, so we really, really appreciate that. We can't see who you are to shout you out, but if you leave a comment, we'll shout you out. We really, really appreciate the ratings and reviews. It really helps us out as a podcast. So if you like the show, please do rate it. And that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to hear about our other show and tell items or our Geralt of Rivia adventure, you can head over to the Patreon at the We Like D&D $2 tier. And if you're looking for adventures and other mini games as well as the bonus episodes, you can check out the I Appreciate You tier. And we do very much appreciate you all listening. Thank you again for leaving those ratings and reviews. And if you have any feedback for us, we'd also love to hear it. We really enjoy making this podcast, but we also really want to make a podcast that you guys like listening to. So if there are any segments that you like or anything you want to hear more of, or if you have any feedback at all, just leave a comment on Spotify or on YouTube. We'd love to hear it. Thank you again. We appreciate you.
We certainly do.
Bye.
That segment was brought to you by No Experience Required. No experience required. That's how we got on this podcast.
Very true. Turns out they just let anyone make a podcast.